Hey, really happy to have you on the show. First and foremost, Steve Wright, former offensive lineman in the National Football League. One of the teams played for the Raiders when they were in Los Angeles, played with some pretty great players, and recently wrote a book, Aggressively Human, with Lizzie Wright. And I have to ask her, there's got to be a relation, right, Lizzie?
That is my lovely wife of 10 years. Yes.
Okay. I figured that. And I've read a few of the inserts. I've also on Facebook watched Steve read some inserts to the book. The one and only thing, well, there's many things that I am looking forward to reading because I want to read the entire book. But I saw the one thing Steve said, man, one of the worst things after the game was in the locker room when the press came in. And I thought, man, that's what I do. This sucks. Is Steve even going to like me and want to talk to me on the show? But, hey, it's part of our job. And I say, Steve, all the time on the show, if every player did what Marshawn Lynch did and said, I'm only here so I don't get fined, all these guys would make a lot less money because we'd have nothing to write about or talk about. And the interest level would diminish dramatically. We're necessary. And I try to tell people, I don't like reporting bad things or saying bad things, but the people don't want to hear the fluff. They want the players humanized. They want to know that they make mistakes just like they do and make you guys human. So the key is when you're in the spotlight, don't make catastrophic personal mistakes, and then you don't get talked about. That's the key. If you're going to be in the spotlight, understand, especially in the world we live in today, modern society, everything is seen. So if you do something bad, you're going to get caught. It's just that simple.
Right. And I totally agree with you. And we could not be anywhere, like you say, the salaries without you guys putting us up there. And getting this out there in front of the eyeballs. My only thing was right after the game, after you've just come from, your level of stress and anger or joy or whatever it is you're just peaking. You get into the locker room now you're back with all your boys and you're all hugging and jumping around, or you're throwing stuff around, and now you have a mic immediately stuck in your face. My thing was just having the press room, file out whatever you got to do, or at least give us time to everybody showers. But you're coming in and you ain't even taking your helmet off yet, and you're having a microphone stuck in your face. And thank God, as an offensive lineman, it didn't happen to me too often, but I was feeling for the other guys. But it did happen to me on maybe a crucial holding call. So now I'm in the locker room and I'm bummed, and I've got the microphones. But so we couldn't do nothing without you.
We appreciate it. Just like I said, it's interesting, and I actually enjoy the fact that we're thought about. So that to me, it was a good thing. Of course, once again, talking to Steve Wright. Steve, undrafted out of Northern Iowa back in 1981. By the way, Northern Iowa, same school as Kurt Warner, for those of you out there wondering. But played for the Dallas Cowboys, the Baltimore/Indianapolis Colts. Of course, played for the Oakland Invaders in the USFL. And the Los Angeles Raiders back to 1987 to 93. I guess, Steve, long career at a tough position in the trenches. And, it's not cliche when they say games are won and lost in the trenches. They are. And offensive linemen, it's funny because by the general public, that don't really know much about sports, you might think those are just the big dumb guys. And yet when you get to know the sport and you're intricate, usually those are the most intelligent guys in the field. And what the things they have to do and the plays they have to run, the stunts, it's amazing when you look at the plays that an offensive lineman have to learn for each game and realize how difficult it is to play that position, not to just have to be so cerebral, but then the physicality where there is major impact on every single play, unavoidable when you play in the trenches. Steve, your feelings, you're playing in the NFL for this period of time, which eventually led to this book.
Yeah. Wow, Bryan, you must have been an offensive lineman at some point in your life. Yeah, it's we're only looked at if we're holding or jumping off sides, but yeah, we've got to work. 5 of us work as one. When an audible is called and you're leaning forward for a smash mouth play right behind you, and all of a sudden it's an audible to a pass play, I got to just slowly sink back because I got to get back on my heels fast for a pass rush. Yeah, I would have never imagined playing in the NFL as long as I have. I was pretty fortunate, 11 years coming out of University of Northern Iowa as a free agent. One of three of us out of 120 made the Cowboys 1981. Yeah, and then just come on to have a really healthy, successful career, and just being out here with the Raiders and playing next to Max Montoya and Steve Wisniewski and Don Mosbar. Yeah, and then having an offensive line coach as Art Shell, and then becoming a head coach. It was just an absolute dream. Coming out here to play for the Raiders. I used to pretend I was out with Fred last night after his one of his foundation deals. We were up doing a Q&A, and I remember being back when I was a little kid, and we'd throw a football out in the grass, and I was going to be Dave Casper, or I was going to be Bolitnikoff, or and then all of a sudden I'm these guys are my buddies. I'm out having beers and dinner last night with Fred and Angela Bolitnikoff and a few others, Morris Bradshaw. Yeah, it's been an amazing ride, and I had to write about it.
Extremely cool that you did. And before I talk about this Raiders team, and by the way, put in a word to Fred Bolitnikoff. There's a guy on UNLV's team that we just talked about with Caleb, Ricky White III. He needs to be in the running for the Bolitnikoff Award. So I imagine if Fred made a call to the NFL, they'd stick him in the thing. Check this guy out. The kid's great. But realistically, before we talk about the Raiders, which we're really limited on time, unfortunately, today, and I want to have you on again, talk about your book, Steve. Number one, how people can go about getting it, and just if you can, cliff notes on what they can expect when they read the book.
Outstanding. Thank you so much for pumping it. It's my one and only. It's my memoir. It's called Aggressively Human. You can find it on Amazon. Best place to go is my author page, wrightauthor.com. I've got blogs from the last half a year. Every Sunday I post a blog. A lot of photos, a lot of behind the scenes stories that people never hear about. Like Howie dismantling Bill Lewis in practice and knocking him out cold, and things going on in the locker room that'll just bend you over laughing. But it's also too, it's just more than football. It's what grew me into the man I am, and I'm not say perfect or not, and it's not a you should book. It's just how one man did it, and I think fairly successfully. But it's Aggressively Human is the name of it. And it's having to be super aggressive, for game time, and then coming back to have humanity and compassion and love and everything away from the game. But then that mix now has also gone into the political scene. Everybody, you see most people get really pissed really quick, or some are too soft and get stepped on. And so my thing is this, I call it the yin and yang. I'm a Buddhist, and it's a lot of stories of mentors, good and bad. You learn just as much from a bad mentor, seeing somebody like, wow, that is really a screwy way to live, or how they're treating somebody. And it's the compassion and the empathy that really became a theme and the spine to my book. But Amazon, it's on there right now. I recorded the Audible, 7.5 hours. It's got an ebook and hard and soft, and it's a fun read for guys and girls, and for parents, working with their kids, how to get the mindset. I had Mike Ditka as my special teams coach when I was with Dallas, and he'd throw his arm around me and take me for a walk when he'd get me frustrated because the offensive line coach is driving you crazy, isn't he? Yeah, no, it's just so mad. He goes, Steve, this is what's going to separate you. He's going to yell at you. Deal with it. Figure it out fast. And little things like, hey, everybody here is getting paid. This is going to separate you. Figure it out, and figure it out quick. And there's so many other things. There's a lot of mentors throughout my life that helped me in my business career, bringing the sideline missed fans that you see oscillating, cooling the players. I brought that to the NFL in 1990, turned it into a killer business, cooled the 96 Summer Olympics, had them on U.S. aircraft carriers, and I was in 1,500 Home Depots with all my misting. And this thing all just kind of came to be. It just, I wasn't trying to do anything. I was just trying to cool the Raiders sidelines. And all of a sudden it turned into this crazy business. So keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open. If there's an opportunity, I got an opportunity down at Fox Studio when I was down there with Howie. I met the casting director for Survivor. And she said, why don't you come on and give it a try? And I come down for this
season 22.
Yeah, season 20.
I know you were there, and you actually got Redemption Island. You got to go to Redemption Island, lasted a day there. Listen, Steve, I hate to cut you off. We are running really low on time. That's the one thing. But I want to tell you, we're going to have you on again because, yes, Steve, the cooling system, he also invented a toilet seat. That's a conversation for another show as well, if I'm not mistaken. And again, I want to talk more about this. We will have Steve on. Real quickly, Steve, you got 30 seconds. I need your prediction on the game today between the Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs. And again, 30 seconds. What do you expect to see?
I'm going to be there, and I cannot wait. I'm just hoping Max is out there on the field and just taking a couple plays, if anything, because he's the draw. If he's the moral support, everybody's going to be jacked up when they see him out there, just acting crazy. It's going to be a battle. It's it comes down to, like we talked about earlier, it's the offensive line. If the offensive line can push the Chiefs around and give our guy a little time, we might have a chance. It's going to be tough, but they got to break the spell. I think the Chiefs are 3-0 here. Andy Reid's got our number. Today's got to be the day. It's do or die today.
I agree with you 100%. The key is, to me, the victory. Just beat the Chiefs in the first half because they haven't scored a point in the second half in a month. So just win the first half and you win the game. He is Steve Wright, author, former offensive lineman in the NFL for several years, and author of a book called Aggressively Human, available right now on Amazon. Steve will be on the show again. Appreciate you, Steve.
Thank you, Brian.